Chupacabra build number 3. This is the piece that we cut out in the last video. We folded it up and put it on the chassis jig, and this is why it will not work. We kind of anticipated this. It was worth a try. When you fold the metal, it's an imperfect fold and you can't control the tolerances. Come in here close just a second. It's got to be exact in this plane and in this plane. When we fold it right here, now it throws it off a little bit. Let me show you what I mean here. If you have a piece, the V-cut here like this, and this is 2 inches to here and 2 inches to here, if the V is exactly on this line, then when it folds up, this stays 2 inches and this stays 2 inches. But if you have it like this, and the V doesn't come all the way down, then when you fold this piece around, this is your pivot point, and it does this. Now then, this dimension is a little bit longer than the dimension you wanted it to be, and this dimension is a little bit longer than the dimension you wanted it to be. When you're trying to put tab A into slot B and you have tolerances of 1/1000th of an inch, this fold pushes this slot this way and it pushes it up, and now it doesn't fit the firewall. This whole thing is going together on the theory of a perfectly cubed box. If you have 6 sides that are perfect, when you put them together, you cannot not have a perfect box. So, all of this is trash. Again, it was a noble experiment, but it's going in the trash bin. Good news on that, if there is any. I kind of anticipated it and thought that we may have to make it in a couple of different pieces. I got kind of obsessed with trying to make the fewest number of pieces, and I realize now that that's not the most beneficial way to build it. Good news, this thing's worth about half of what I paid for it as scrap aluminum. Good news, it did clear out my chassis jig idea. Those fit absolutely perfect, hold it absolutely perfect in every plane. Scrap aluminum. When I owned Fast Lane Engineering, we had a scrap bin below a stomp shear that we used primarily to cut 40,000th aluminum sheet for race car bodies, and there was enough aluminum in that scrap bin each year to throw a pretty decent Christmas party every year. Speaking of the aluminum, I'd said last time that I would confirm what alloy it is. Looking at my cheat sheet here, it's 5052 T32. There are numerous alloys of aluminum. There are about 6 or 8 common alloys. In those common alloys, there's 2 series aluminum, which is not good for anything. Or anything in this type of use. Wasn't that good even for commercial wiring. But it has copper as one additive in it, and it actually rusts. But it's not very strong, and it's not an option. Of what's left, you can narrow it down to possible options real quick. 6061 T6 is probably the most famous aluminum, and it is some nice stuff. The disadvantage of 6061, it's not workable. It will not bend like that. It will not do that. You try to bend it 1/8 of an inch and it will shear and break. 6061 is weldable, it is very machinable, it is not formable. This alloy, again, the 5052 T32, it's a little less strong than 6061 T6, but it's about half the price, and it is machinable, it is weldable, and it is formable. There's 7075, which is another aircraft grade. The tensile strength on that's about 80,000 pounds. That stuff is actually stronger than most tensile strengths on most steel. Tensile strength on this is about 35. Tensile strength on 6061 is about 45. There's another advantage to this. Tensile strength, they're as strong and they're as tough. A chassis, you don't want not to be able to give a fraction of an inch without it breaking. You want it to be tough. It can be stronger, but it's got to be tough. Very good example of that I've used many times back when I was building dragsters. I don't know if this is a true story or not. History's lies agreed upon anyway, but Richard the Lionhearted and Saladin meet on the battlefield in one of the Crusades. East and West cultures, never seen before. Richard the Lionhearted pulls his sword out, trying to scare Saladin's troops, and shears an iron bar in half. It does scare Saladin's troops. Saladin composes them. Saladin pulls his sword out and shears a silk pillow in half. Panics Richard's troops. Strong and tough. This is the aluminum we want, and it doesn't hurt that it's half the price of 6061 T6. Cut it off. Say when.
Wait a minute.